I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time, a time of disruption in the life of our country, a disruption that has brought grief to some, financial difficulties to many, and enormous changes to the daily lives of us all. I want to thank everyone on the NHS frontline, as well as care workers and those carrying out essential roles, who selflessly continue their day-to-day duties outside the home in support of us all. I'm sure the nation will join me in assuring you that what you do is appreciated, and every hour of your hard work brings us closer to a return to more normal times. I also want to thank those of you who are staying at home, thereby helping to protect the vulnerable and sparing many families the pain already felt by those who have lost loved ones. Together we are tackling this disease, and I want to reassure you that if we remain united and resolute, then we will overcome it. I hope in the years to come, everyone will be able to take pride in how they responded to this challenge. And those who come after us will say the Britons of this generation were as strong as any, that the attributes of self-discipline, of quiet, good-humoured resolve, and of fellow feeling still characterize this country. The pride in who we are is not a part of our past. It defines our present and our future. The moments when the United Kingdom has come together to applaud its care and essential workers will be remembered as an expression of our national spirit, and its symbol will be the rainbows drawn by children. Across the Commonwealth and around the world, we have seen heartwarming stories of people coming together to help others, be it through delivering food parcels and medicines, checking on neighbours, or converting businesses to help the relief effort. And though self-isolating may at times be hard, many people of all faiths and of none are discovering that it presents an opportunity to slow down, pause and reflect in prayer or meditation. It reminds me of the very first broadcast I made in 1940, helped by my sister. We as children spoke from here at Windsor to children who had been evacuated from their homes and sent away for their own safety. Today, once again, many will feel a painful sense of separation from their loved ones. But now as then, we know deep down that it is the right thing to do. While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. This time we join with all nations across the globe in a common endeavour, using the great advances of science and our instinctive compassion to heal. We will succeed, and that success will belong to every one of us. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again. But for now, I send my thanks and warmest good wishes to you all.
Well, first of all, you're going to have to be competent. There's no room for second place in combat. There's no coins or trophies given out for ties. You either win or you lose, and the cost of losing is death. The premium of the business you're about to join is not the profit margin of the bottom line. It is the lives of your soldiers. And what will make the difference on the battlefields that you undoubtedly are going to face is going to be your personal competence. No one is going to follow a platoon leader who's constantly lost. No one is going to follow a platoon leader who can't call for and direct indirect fire. No one is going to follow a platoon leader who can't call in a medevac or call in close air support or get an attack helicopter on the ground. No one's going to do that. You're going to do that. And if you do it well, your men and your women are going to follow you. If you don't do it well, they won't follow you. It's as simple as that. You're going to have to be very, very competent. But it takes more than that. You're also going to have to be compassionate. You're going to have to love your soldiers as you love your very family. And you're going to have to be willing to give your life for them. You're going to have to be willing to actually die for your soldiers, for your families. And you're going to have to be compassionate to their every need and take care of them as if they were literally your brother and your sister, your mother, your father, or your son or your daughter. And then you're going to have to be leaders who have tremendous character. And that starts with integrity and honesty and candor. And I guarantee you, your character will be tested like it has never been tested before. And you will have to have steel spines to withstand the pressures that you're going to have to endure in the years ahead. And Norwich, I believe, has prepared you to do that. But character and compassion and competence are skills that you're absolutely going to have to deal with. Part of that also is going to have to be your intellectual development. You're going to have to be open-minded and adaptive to be able to deal with the complexity of the world that involves so many different dynamic elements that it's hard to describe in sentences. If the world of 1916 was complex, or the world of 1945 was complex, the world of 2016 is intensely complex. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I know there's many others who can tell you that as well. And you will graduate and be in that world, and you're going to be leading the soldiers and the sailors, the airmen and the Marines in that world. You'll be dealing with terrorists. You'll be dealing with hybrid armies. You'll be dealing with little green men. You're going to be dealing with tribes. You'll be dealing with national leaders and local leaders. You'll be dealing with politics and economics, and you'll be dealing with direct fire and indirect fire. And you're going to be dealing with it all. And it's all going to be dealt with simultaneously. And for that, you're going to have to be ready. And that's why readiness, in my mind, is number one. You'll be dealing with terrorists. You'll be dealing with hybrid armies. You'll be dealing with little green men. You're going to be dealing with tribes. You'll be dealing with national leaders and local leaders.
Be it through delivering food parcels and medicines, checking on neighbors, or converting businesses to help the relief effort.
Non vedo l'ora già di averle così, io con gli schermi che controllo tutti i villaggi. Non vedo l'ora. Droni ovunque, ovunque. Con la mia voce che come di becca vi dirà che cazzo, dove cazzo vai? Torna a casa. Questa sarà la voce del giorno. Non si esce. Questo è l'ordine del sito di Luca e basta. Mi becco uno a uno. Non vi posso impedire formalmente di uscire da casa? Bene, vi impedisco di passare il fuoco. Non si esce da casa, nel passivo, nel bambino, non si esce. Questo è l'ordine del sito di Luca e basta.
Police are on the streets across Europe. In Spain, France, Italy and Greece, their job is to make sure anyone who's outside their home has a valid reason. If they don't, they risk a fine.
What can I say? It's difficult for everyone, but we have to get used to it, for the good of everyone.
In Italy, the epicentre of the outbreak, a new coronavirus ward at a Milan hospital has been built in 8 days. The strain on the country's health system is overwhelming. It's not only short of facilities, but also frontline medical staff, as doctors and nurses also contract the virus.
We have empty beds in some other hospitals. We don't have any more nurses or doctors who work on that.
But some help has now arrived from Cuba. A team of 36 doctors and 15 nurses has flown in.
Our government sent us here for bring our solidarity here.
In Spain, the second worst affected country in Europe, 4,000 health workers have contracted the virus, accounting for 10% of the country's cases. In Germany, the streets are quiet following the introduction of a new rule banning public gatherings of more than 2 people. The Chancellor, Angela Merkel, is in self-isolation after her doctor tested positive for the virus.
Die Kanzlerin ist Stand jetzt gesund.
As of now, the Chancellor is healthy, except that she is working from her home office like so many others who are in self-isolation. But she is active and we had a cabinet meeting with her today via phone.
I'm Nick and we are the Belfast Respiratory Team. We are now in the greatest medical crisis of our lifetime. Stay at home.
In the UK, doctors are pleading with people to take the social distancing measures seriously. The call came after crowds flocked to British parks over the weekend. A government decision to reduce train services on Monday made keeping distance hard for commuters. Nonetheless, the Prime Minister told the country if it doesn't start following the rules, a much stricter Italy-style lockdown will be imposed. Sarah Morris, TRT World.
So when we're talking about exosomes, we're talking about really small bubbles that are released from cells.
It's much smaller than a bacterium, for example.
And you know that they are only about 100 nanometers in size, which is about 1/1,000,000th of the size of a hair.
Exosomes are blebs that are released from cells, and they end up outside of the cells and can be isolated from the liquid.
It's been found in all mammalian cells that have been looked at. One of the problems with exosomes is that they're very heterogeneous. There's very different kinds of vesicles, and it's been difficult to come with a definition that encompasses all the different types of vesicles.
Exosomes are supposed to be very powerful mediators. They carry all the signaling and the machinery necessary to go and change the behavior of a neighboring cell.
There is genetic information in these vesicles, meaning that they're not just getting to these vesicles, but when these vesicles get taken up by other cells, that they have a biological activity.
Our cells produce large numbers of different small RNAs. They're called microRNAs, and they regulate about half of all the genes expressed in our cells.
Now, we did find RNA in the exosomes probably around 7 years ago.
The major question in the field is, do cells communicate with other cells in the body by secreting exosomes carrying these microRNAs and then affect the metabolism in other cells?
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Supernovas. Today I have Adam Koster from Chimera Labs.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Today we're talking about exosomes. All the talk is about exosomes. And we know that you guys had a lot of questions about exosomes, so do we. So we came together and we wrote a few questions down that we'd love to ask Adam. Is it okay if we ask you?
Of course.
A couple questions? Cool, sweet. So I think the number one question on my mind, or anyone else's mind, is we know exosomes. I guess just to preface this, what are exosomes?
Great question. Yeah. So exosomes are essentially 30 to 120 nanometer little bubbles of fat, essentially. You think about your body, it's composed of billions and billions of cells. We all learned that at one point or another. For me, it was 5th grade in biology lab. And we learned about plant cells and animal cells and the different organelles inside of the cell, and we have the DNA and the nucleus. But actually the most important part, to a certain extent, of the cell, besides the nucleus that has the DNA inside of it, is the surface. It's called the lipid bilayer, the phospholipid bilayer. And phospholipid is really just a fancy word for fat, to a certain extent.
Okay, so this fat surrounds the cell.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yep. And it's crucially important to all processes of life, really. We think about fat in terms of us. We use fat for protection.
Right.
And our cells use it for communication and for a wide variety of cellular functions.
It's a good thing that I update my presentations from time to time, so I have something new to say to you. So let me go through what we're actually doing here. This is the kind of thing that we see over and over again. This is on day 2. He said my friend fell off of his bicycle, and then this is a few days later, 6 days later, by applying these MSC exosomes to them. This is a striking one. This is from Dr. Chernoff, who's going to speak later. This poor girl woke her dog up by mistake, or not by mistake, but he wasn't ready for it and bit her lip off. So he applied these exosomes, and he'll tell you exactly how. And that's 7 days recovery. And I got to meet her right before she was getting married, and I couldn't even tell that this had happened to her.